Hi and welcome. I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver, Presbyterian minister of 3 congregations in Eastern Ontario. And thank you for joining us for this week's Children's Time. No, I don't have a story for you. I also don't have a game or craft activity for you. I'm giving up on crafts for right now, but I have an experiment for you. And for this experiment, you're going to need your parents' help, collaboration, cooperation. Okay, so we're going to be looking at names and how important names are. And you're going to be, you need a notebook or a diary, a piece of paper, something to write down your feelings. So for the first part, you're going to stop calling your parents mom and dad. You're going to refer to them by their titles, Mr. and Mrs. So it'd be like Mr. Robertson or Mrs. White. Excuse me. So you're going to be calling them that. Figure it. Do you want to do it all day, half a day, a few hours? You want to do it more than once or twice. You want to build up. And then you go, how does that change your relationship? And you're going to do it not so much when you're by yourself with them, but when you're in front of other people. So like you're going to a store and you're talking, Mrs. Wilson, can I get an ice cream? Or Mr. Henderson, can we do this? Or can we stop at McDonald's on our way home? And look how people look at you. How do you feel referring to them that way? And just, at the end, somewhere along the line, just jot down your feelings. Then we reverse it a little bit. Your parents, you're going to still call them Mr. and Mrs., but your parents are going to call you Mr. or Mrs. Miss as well. So, Miss Henderson, how does it feel to have your parents call you that? And what the parents need to do is they need to find another adult, and that adult will also call you by your title, Mr. So-and-so, or Mr. Wilson, Miss White, Miss Henderson, whatever. And how does that feel being called? Well, by a title, does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel older? Does it make you feel strange? And this is where your parents, they're going to be working with that friend, that adult friend. And at some point, that friend is going to say, you can call me by my first name. And you're going to call them back. Wow, how does that feel, getting permission to call someone by their first name? And then you can give them permission to call you by your first name. How does that feel? Now, this is why you need your parents, because you don't want a stranger doing this, because you can't always trust strangers. But your parents are going to be asking one of the friends, and chances are it'll be someone you know. So you already have some kind of relationship. So you see how strange it is to call them by their title. And then what do you feel when they give you permission to call them by their first name when they call you by your first name? Then I want you to think, do you have any favorite names or pet names or nicknames that you call people really close to you, that you like? We're not talking about bullying names, teasing names. No, we want names that are precious. So years ago, I worked with a youth group, and the youth called me Revy Baby. And, when I heard it, it was like, wow. I still, I hear the name, I choke up a little bit, and I think of those kids and how great they were. And I don't know, we've lost touch over the years, but it was, yeah, I'm choked up just saying that name that they came up with for me. And so I want you to note things like that. If a stranger calls you by name, you don't know them. I don't know if your parents can arrange something like that, but how does it feel when someone you don't know suddenly uses your name? Okay. What warning flags go off, maybe? So your parents might be able to figure a way of making that happen, and then they can introduce you to that friend so you stop being afraid. And realize what's going on in the Bible. One of the things that the Bible's telling us. Our Old Testament lesson this week, we're talking about Moses and the burning bush. And, here he is, he's out and taking care of his flocks, and he sees a bush that's on fire. The angel of the Lord's in it. And he's curious, so he wanders off towards it. And suddenly, as he gets closer, God speaks to him and says, Moses. It's like, what? God knows him by name. Oh my God. The God of the universe created the clouds behind me, the trees, whichever had there, the trees. So many things he created, and he knows me by name. And that's one of the things the Bible tells us, is that God calls us by name. We are his. We are the sheep of his pasture, and he knows us by name, each and every single one of us. How does that make us feel? And then there's more. It doesn't happen in Moses' lesson, in the Old Testament lesson about Moses and the burning bush, because Moses asked God, what's your name? And God gives, he's playing sort of smart. He just says, I am who I am. And it's like, oh, okay, what is that? What kind of name is that? God doesn't really answer. But God has given us his name. His name is Jesus. And it's like, this great and awesome God has given us permission to call him by name, Jesus. How wonderful is that? How special is that? So that's something I want you to do. Your parents can figure out how long the different parts can be so that you don't know, so that you are surprised when something happens. So when this person that you are addressing as Mr. or Mrs. suddenly says, you can call me by my first name, you had no idea that that was going to happen. It's not that you're playing this for a couple of hours. Some of it may be 3 or 4 hours. Some of it may be a bit longer. It shouldn't last more than 2 days, though. That's the only guideline I'll give you. And so just think about what that means. And then think about what it means for God to know your name, and for you to know God's name. So that's it for our lesson today. And let's close with prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you. Thank you for knowing us and calling us by name. Thank you for inviting us to be your friends, your people. And thank you for giving us your name and giving us permission to call you by name. Dear Jesus, we may not be the perfect friends. I'm sure we're going to make mistakes. And I'm sure we're going to forget you every now and again. But you never forget us. Thank you. Just help us to always be a good friend to you. Thank you so very much. Amen. So once again, I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver, Presbyterian minister of 3 congregations in Eastern Ontario. Thank you for joining us for our Children's Time. Take care, God bless, and see you next week. Bye-bye.